Manly Master. Welcome to my Common Sense Living podcast, where I'm going to add common sense and value to your life. Get a pen and paper because you're going to want to take some notes. I have a special guest today, Kimberly Inez Mays, and she's a digital marketing enthusiast that demystifies technology for coaches and speakers and technology challenged people like me. So her name is Kimberly Inez Mays. And with that, I'd like to welcome you on board, Kim. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you can help dumb people like me.
Oh, well, first of all, Anne, you're a very inspiring person. I will say that. I remember I met you back in February, and yes, if you're listening, watching that, I have my cat in the background, and he looks just like Anne's cat, Maxie, so it's kind of funny.
It
But
is.
yeah, and I met Anne through an event, a speaking competition where Anne was a spectator who later became a participant and competed with us. So, yeah, it is great to be around really inspiring and awesome people.
Oh, it
And
is.
yes, and a little bit about myself is yes, I am a digital marketing enthusiast. I have about 15 years of experience setting up campaigns, email marketing, and other various forms of online media. I currently do it for coaches and speakers to help them attract more people, generate more leads, and close more sales. And I do it in a way that I make technology really simple and I demystify it so that anybody can use it.
Oh, boy. Blessing to people like me, I'll tell you.
Mhm.
So how did you get started in that kind of business?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because I was a computer science major about maybe 20 years ago. Graduated from college, and I didn't know what I really wanted to do, but I found a job that utilized a skill that I had and a skill that I taught myself, which was web design at the time.
Mm.
And so I knew a markup language called HTML that this particular job really needed. And I found myself in this field because the job was coding the emails for large companies like
Hmm.
your Targets and Marriott's and
Wow.
these big companies. So the firm that I work with, those were clients of that company. So that was back in the early or mid 2000s where we didn't have Gmail at the time. We had like Yahoo, AOL, and we had different platforms. I don't think the iPhone was even out yet, or maybe it was in its infancy. So every single like piece of content was very primitive. It needed to be really stripped down, very few images, if that, and then everything needs to be hand coded. So I did that for a couple of years. And of course, technology evolved now where it's all just drag and drop, but it didn't always used to be. But I didn't then did like web development, database development, programming, coding, and project management. So through all of that, I stayed within the same industry, which was the email marketing side of things.
Mm.
And so even though I didn't have the strategist role, I was implementing what the strategy team recommended. So I was able to really get my hands in the solution and see how it played out. So see the results of it, look at the reporting, look at the measurements. And that led me to do this for small businesses because even though we were doing it for large companies, the same technology is now available just for anybody. You
Yeah.
know, it's really awesome to see that, automation, campaigns, triggers based on actions and demographics, and all of these sorts of cool things you can do with data was not available to the average consumer 10, 15 years ago, but it is
Mm.
now. So that's what I do is I help bridge that gap.
You make it sound fun and exciting and something that would I love to learn. So it
Hmm.
would really appeal to me. But yeah, I don't know that I need to learn it. There's people like you I can give a call to and hire. So yeah, gee. So what other groups are you with the speaking? I know we were with Jesse Cruz
Hmm.
here. And are you with Daniel and Emilio?
Yeah, so I'm looking for, I had a copy, oh, right here. My book. Yeah, so I am with Amma, Off a Millionaire Academy, and a few others. So I'm about to publish my first book, Perfectly Persuasive, Marketing to Both Cats and Humans in a Digital Age. That is going to be out Labor Day weekend 2023. And it's really all about the connection between owning a cat and marketing. So
How does that go together?
yeah, so I love this question because, I think there's so much content out there. I think everybody needs a way to differentiate themselves and make themselves make themselves stand out. So there's so many
Mhm.
marketing books out there. It's like, how can I make a marketing book that's different and unique and weird and quirky? So I said, okay, well, I had these two cats. I've had five in total throughout my life, but I have these two right now. And I said, unlike dogs, they won't just roll over, comply, ask for a belly rub. Their time, attention, and trust need to be earned. And that's just like humans. So just like humans, you can't just put something in front of somebody and make them do it or make them want it. You
Mhm.
have to convince them. There has to be consistent, has to be the right messaging, the right time, to the right person. And there's all these elements that no matter how much the technology evolves, these principles are evergreen. They're not going anywhere.
Hmm.
So I said, okay, well, there are 30 million books that say the same thing. How can I make it different? So I said, all
Mhm.
right, well, I need repetition with my cats. I need consistency with my cats. I need to be clear what I want them to do and what I don't want them to do. Every now and then they'll do what they want to do and not what I want them to do. So how do
Just
I
like the
tie this
computer
in?
does.
Yeah. So I was
Computers
like,
do that sometimes.
yeah, so I'm like, how do I tie this together? So that is the main crux of the book, and I am telling stories, and I'm just making little parallels, and it should be a fun, quirky read.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Hmm.
Yeah. Huh. Since you're talking about books, this one is mine. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm trying to get
Yeah.
the title in there. Heaven
Mhm.
Sent. Okay.
Yes.
And if you can read the bottom, if somebody wants to buy it,
Hmm.
this is all about my spiritual experiences that I've encountered over, many years. And I think it's great if everybody was to write a book or at least journal their stories, because in writing that book, I'm thinking, man, I forgot all about that. And now I truly can't forget about it because it's documented. And so now
Hmm.
I can go on to other memories because, hey, I'm over 70. I don't want to tax my brain with too much.
Hmm.
So anyway, um, are you going to go to the thing in Nashville with Amma?
I am.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I
Yeah.
think that ought to be fun. I don't even know what I signed up for exactly, but I just know being around these people that are so uplifting and, just not just in the speaking engagement, but I'm finding everywhere I go. I went to the doctor today and everybody was friendly and upbeat. And I was walking out and somebody comes in and says, good morning. And
Hmm.
it just, and I told my husband that, and I said, and this is good info for everybody listening, that what you think about, you bring about. So if you're in
Hmm.
despair mode and everything's awful and just your energy's down and everything, that's what you're going to attract. But if you're
Hmm.
upbeat and caring and you touch a person gently on the shoulder and oop, hope they're not offended, and
Hmm.
sometimes you do that and it's the mannerism or the energy you put off,
Hmm.
that exudes from you, so they feel that you're not a threat, and you touch them appropriately. But I am fascinated with how everything is going in this world. I really believe it's going to be good
Hmm.
all good. So I
Yeah.
really don't know what to talk about. The floor is yours because I don't know anything about technology. Like I told you before we started, I've been trying to figure out what my Facebook password is and stuff because I made 4 Facebook pages
Hmm.
accidentally, I suppose. And
Yeah.
now I need them to give this somebody, so for my next chapter I'm writing. And it's like, I can't find where how would somebody find me if I can't find me? So ah, blowing my mind on that. But I figured it out today.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about too. It's like even for me, technology doesn't work perfectly on the first try. I get
Mhm.
frustrated as well too. So I think you're in really good company. So I would say, give yourself some grace. Things are figure outable. I'm not like I didn't coin that term. I heard it somewhere, but things are you're able to figure things out. And so I look at it like a big puzzle, like what I do. And the way I teach it is very simple. Like I just teach, okay, draw a box, and this is where everybody becomes aware of your business. And when I talk to people about their marketing, and I said, okay, well, draw an arrow and then draw another box. This is where now you put them somewhere. Like, oh, do you want them to join a webinar? Do you want them to take a course? Do you want them to join a membership or join your Facebook group? And then from there, draw another box. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to sign up for your coaching program or your mastermind or your event? And then just keep drawing boxes until you kind of go up the ladder in like your suite of services. And then what I find that it makes it so much easier because then you just have to connect the boxes. Like, how am I going to get this person from point A to point B? So how do I get the people who've taken my course now to enroll in my 6-week program? I'm just
Yeah.
hypothetically speaking. So that's what I do, is help fill some of those gaps to say, okay, you have a course platform, let's connect it with the tools that you're using for your email so that when they finish the course, they get an offer to have a sales conversation about the coaching program. So it's about those little in between connectors between the goals that you want to set in your business. So that way it makes it a lot less overwhelming and intimidating because
Mhm.
you're not trying to build the plane and fly it at the same time,
Yeah.
You
One step
have
at a
that,
time.
yeah, you have that zoomed out picture, and then you're like, okay, well, now I can get this system to fill in some of these gaps. And not only that, is that you can have anybody do the heavy lifting for you once you have that blueprint. You can,
Mm.
and this is what I tell people too, is like if you have a system, like why you're not reaching out to their support? Like why are you struggling in the system and not telling, not like submitting a ticket or whatever you need to submit so that you can get that problem resolved, because that's what they're there for. That's what they're getting paid for. And even if you haven't yet bought into the system, you can still contact their sales team and say, hey, I want to take everybody from my course to now send them emails when they finish the course. Can your platform do this for me? And that's what they're paid to do. So, it's all about also utilizing those resources too, because I tell people all the time is I'm good with tech, but I don't like doing my taxes, and I will never do my own taxes. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I will never do it. It's not a thing that's going to happen. So I
Mhm.
don't feel dumb or stupid because I don't do my own taxes. It's just like, oh well, I could spend 2 months doing this,
Right.
or I can just delegate it, have somebody else do it, and then spend
And be
time on the
stress
things that I'm
free.
good at. Yeah.
Mhm. That's a good analogy on it. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah.
my husband, he's good with tech, but he doesn't do social media. And so
hmm
I rely on him for a lot of things, but like Facebook and that kind of stuff doesn't help too much.
Yeah.
But at least I used to say, don't want it done, nothing to do with it. But now, little by little, I'm letting it slip in the door. And partly because as a speaker, and I'm wanting to
hmm
start my own course on teaching people about how to prevent and I want to say cure
hmm
diabetes or fix it, however you want to word that, because you can't cure everybody, but you can certainly make it life better for them. And
hmm
so uh, that's one of the things that I'm working on, and I'll probably have to enlist you on that kind of thing. But it fascinates me to learn, and I was in Colorado a couple of weeks ago, I guess now, and I did
hmm
a speech there. It was a healing conference, and I came back from there so confident. And I'm sitting here at the computer, and 2 days later, the little voice says, you're going to do that diabetes course that you've been wanting to do for how many years? Because as a nurse and a certified health coach, why not? I know a lot about it. I do it for myself. I'm not diabetic because I refuse to be. And
hmm
that to me is part of it. So if I can use that as my mindset to not get sick, then why can't I use that mindset to learn the technology that I have to? So
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting my feet wet, and
Mhm.
I'm not as scared as I was.
Mhm.
Cautious, very cautious, and still make
Yeah.
mistakes, but oh well. So,
Mhm.
oh, what else do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So,
The
yeah.
floor
So,
is yours, sweetie.
okay.
Because
Awesome.
I
Well,
don't know anything about technology, so I don't even know the questions to ask.
I think you know more than you think you do. So that's
That's
what a
so
lot
sweet
of
of
people
you.
tell me. They're like, "Oh, I'm not technical." I'm like, "Well, you don't have to be, but you know your business. You know exactly, what you want people to ultimately do after taking an
Mhm.
action." And I mean you in a general sense, like when I speak to
Right.
people, and I think it's really cool when I ask them, "Okay, then what happens?" And they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, and then I want them to do this." And I see their eyes, I see like the wheels in their head turn, and I'm like, "Okay, well then we just have to figure out how to get them there. That's no problem. We can do that. We can plan, we can solve for that." I think what happens is that we just jump into the tech and we're like, "Oh, well, or sometimes we're sold into something." So, you ever scroll on Facebook, which is the most dangerous thing, and you see something, it's like, "Oh, it's a 10-in-1 system that does this, this, and this," and you can send out text messages and landing pages and courses and audiobooks, or I'm just throwing things out, and you're like, "Okay, well now I have to do all 10 of these things," and then you kind of get overwhelmed or bogged down. You're doing it yourself, and you're like, "Okay, well this now I'm just not technical." And I think, I know a lot of people who make a lot of money and they're not technical at all. And
Mhm.
I've seen people make money just making a Google Doc and a PayPal link. They're not fancy at all. And I've seen people just kind of work with what they have. Now, to me, does that make the execution and operations of their business a lot harder? Yes, to me, they are spending a lot of energy in Google spreadsheets and, you
Mhm.
know, different cash apps and other ways to pay. But at the same time, I think people are more technical than they give themselves credit for. It's just that technology just keeps changing. And so
Oh yeah.
sometimes folks just need a little help. And, I think one of the ways I challenge myself is keeping on top of like what is current, what is relevant, what's new. I know right now what's really hot is AI, which
Yeah.
everybody's talking about. Chat GPT, Bard, and all of these other tools. And now you can't even open a system without seeing like that magic AI wand. So it's like, "Oh, let us write this for you." And so, being me, I know exactly how it works. I know exactly, the APIs they're using. They're probably using Chat GPT or Bard's like APIs, which are just it's programming. That's what an API is. It's just it's messengers. And so it's baked into everything. Now, do I think it'll replace human interaction and human creativity? No, because what you put into it, you get out of it. So, it's constantly staying up on top of those things myself to say, "Okay, this is the way technology is moving. How do I move with it? How do I stay
Mhm.
ahead of it? And how do I stay creative with it?" So that is one way that I do that. But when it comes to just helping other people, I am inspired by what other people know, what they can do. And so I never discount anybody. No, there's no question that is too dumb or just that I can't answer. And that's kind of like what I like about my style too. Is like I don't seek to impress. Like I can get really fancy if folks want me to, but that's kind of boring. After a
Mhm.
while, it's like, yeah, I've heard the same industry jargon millions of times. That's why I didn't put it in the book, or if I did, I explained it, because to me, I just want people to get it, because if somebody can explain taxes to me, that'd be great. I mean, I get it. And sometimes when you get it, you still don't want to do it, because I still don't want
Right.
to do it.
Right. Well, you
So,
don't want to make a mistake for one thing.
mm-hmm,
I don't want to spend the time
mm-hmm.
with the numbers. I,
Yes.
I want to go back to AI because
Mm-hmm,
I I I'm a skeptic, and that's
mm-hmm,
probably why I'm slower to learn some things. And in the health field, I'll chew on it for a little bit. I'm either on board or I'm not. But
mm-hmm,
like AI sounds like a good idea, but I don't. My style of writing
mm-hmm.
is the way I experienced whatever I'm writing about, and I want that to be written the way I said it, not somebody go in and change my words around, something go in and change my words around, whatever. And secondly, I just wonder with all the, oh, what word do I call it? The ugliness in the world, um, our conversation right now, AI could manipulate, hypothetically, manipulate and take my words and construe them to be something else. This is going to be a political statement right now, but
Mhm.
Trump supposedly said something in 2010. So what I'm saying today, couldn't in 2025, somebody said that I said whatever, just by taking the words voice recognition. That's what I'm getting at. That's the part
Yeah.
of me.
And that's a valid concern. What they call that is deep faking. And so if you look online later, if you look in deep fake, there's a really scarily accurate one for Morgan Freeman and Barack
Mm.
Obama. And what that is that is synthetic. So they'll take the gestures, the movements of the lips, and they'll actually can make a deep fake of different voices. So that is also a big concern, especially when it comes to privacy, security,
Mm.
safety, and personalization. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually a valid concern. There are some companies that don't let their employees use ChatGPT and some of the other AI tools because as you feed it information, it stores it so that it's
Mm.
learning as it goes along, and it's like
Mhm.
machine learning. What's it called? Deep language learning as well. That's what I'm also studying. So there's all these tools out. There's all these like algorithms out there that really learn as you enter input. So
Mhm.
there is a responsibility. There are like guardrails and safeguards that need to be considered and discussed before it's developed any further because yeah, people can have nefarious usage for it. Um, you know, just pretending they're people that they're not. Social media bots, they can take people's images and likeness off social media or off
Right.
the internet and do things with it. So I think it is definitely proceed with caution. I do think that the toothpaste is out of the tube for it, though, metaphorically speaking. So
Right.
I think, the more we can get ahead of it, or, more we can get ahead of it, the more we understand about it, then the less likely we are subjected to the bad actors.
Mm. So how did it come around to being developed? Somebody had to develop it. And can we
Hmm.
trust those somebodies, you know? Mhm.
Um, Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, like at the end of the day, and coming from like a big data company, I've always been in the field of data and data privacy and concerns and things of that. Like your smartphone knows more about you, your social media knows more about you, Google knows more about you, Amazon knows more about you than you know yourself. I don't know
Right.
about you, but I have several Echo devices in my house because it's very convenient to know what the weather is, but everything is being tracked. There's huge databases of our shopping preferences.
Oh, yeah.
Probably like even if you wear a smartwatch and it has like your biometrics on it,
Right.
all of that's being housed and stored somewhere. So it's just we put our trust in a lot of things every single day. So I would say that can we trust them? Well, it's not can we, it's like unless you're completely off the grid, like my sister, you kind of have no choice.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and, and I'm just reluctant because I'm a skeptic, um,
Hmm.
cautious. I mean, it's
Hmm.
like they come up with something. Am I going to be the first one to take it, or whatever?
Hmm.
This new surgery for whatever, for this ache or pain or whatever. Am I going to be the first guinea pig? No, I'm going to sit there and think about it. But oh, you need to do it, whatever. No, they don't know. So I'm just a skeptic like that, and it's great if it works. And then I'm going to be just like I am now, kind of computer illiterate, AI illiterate, whatever, and that's okay. That's
Hmm.
okay.
I think
Um,
it's definitely okay.
yeah, not everybody is going to be on board, and just like not everybody's a nurse, not everybody's
Mhm.
a computer tech. So,
Yeah. And I think that is totally fine too, because the thing is, you need people out in front to test it, and you need that level of caution. And then also in business owners, we can't jump on everything put in front of us because then we lose our vision, we lose the
Right.
sight, we lose the blueprint that we've written down to just simply help people. If we're thinking that, okay, we have to jump on every little trend, like right
Mhm.
now, there are new social media platforms popping up, and people are like, oh, did you get an invite to this one? And that, I'm like, it's just like, is this a distraction for me? And if
Mhm.
it is, then I'm like, okay, I respectfully decline. I remember there was Clubhouse, which I think people are still having success on Clubhouse. It wasn't for me, but I know that there are psychological issues that involved in, you want to be included. There's fear of missing out. There's like, okay, well, if I don't do it, then my competitors will. And I think that at the end of the day, it's all about completing what you start without being distracted. So
Mhm.
if all of these things are a distraction, I would say hold off, let other people do it, and then learn
Yeah.
from what they've been
From
able
their
to accomplish.
mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's me. I've got a lot of irons in the fire, and just like doing that technology thing today, trying to find my password for which Facebook
Hmm.
account and stuff. And that drained me of a lot of energy because, it's been on my mind for 2 days. And I thought, well, if I don't get this figured out, I'm going to have to ask Kimberly for
Hmm.
help. But
Hmm.
no, I think I've got it figured out, so we'll see.
Yes.
And I'm proud of myself for that because
Hmm.
it was 2 days of energy expended, and then today I just said I got to sit here and because I kind of got things organized, or like I think so, but then fresh mind today, and then I tackled it, and I was surprised. I said, "Oh, I've got that."
Hmm.
Uh, but I think life is fun, and I giggle about it because it's better than crying.
Yeah. Yeah, and eventually you find the password. You'll find like there's some systems that I cannot find the password for the life of me, and then you put forgot password, and then you're looking at that inbox for like a couple of days, and you're like, I don't think it sent me my password. So yeah, it happens to all of us.
Yeah. Well, and then, like I said, I have 4 Facebook accounts because I don't know what I was doing. I wanted this, and
Hmm.
next thing I know, I've got another one, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're not the same. I go in to ask a question on this one, and it's different than that one. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's trying to drive me crazy.
Hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, it's my attitude is changing, that I'm making it more of the challenge. I love a good challenge, one that I
Hmm.
can accomplish. And if I put my mind to it, I can accomplish it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of if it's that important to me to do that accomplishment. Everything
Hmm.
my path doesn't mean I have to go and make it mine. Yeah, I might
Yeah.
make it yours.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. So, and I know we're both authors, and
and
this
speakers.
is my first book, one of many.
Mine too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, for me, speaking of technology, speaking of writing my book, one way that I've put forth not too long ago, and I told people that I did, is I actually spoke into my phone when writing my book.
Oh,
So, because I didn't have a whole lot of time to sit and type,
mm,
I was able to use just Google Docs and then talk into my phone. So my
oh,
book
sure.
was wherever I was. So I
Ah,
could be in my car and I would have my draft of my book already in Google Docs. And I would just use the little microphone keyboard on my phone to speak into the book and write it that way.
oh,
And
wow.
it took a couple of weeks and I needed a lot of bottles of water for sure. I don't know how people narrate audiobooks. I'm like, oh man,
Mm,
that's something I would love to do, but yeah, it's probably hours of talking, which I could do,
yeah,
it, I suppose, but
we'll do it chapter by chapter.
exactly, do it chapter by chapter. But that was just one way that I got it done. So I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy. I think that when you do write a book, it's kind of the ultimate leap of faith because you're like, okay, well, you can't delete a book once you put it
Yeah,
out. Like you can delete
yeah.
a video, you can delete anything else. So I'm really excited about this. Really excited about bringing that forth, and I'm just really happy that I'm in um, community with other authors and other people that are moving in the same direction.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like somebody's got your hand if you need it, or the pat on the back for
Mm-hmm.
the help or whatever. And just the energy of these people is just so,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's not that people I've been around before have had it. It's just like go to work, do your job, come home, eat, sleep, go to
Mm-hmm.
bed, go to work, and
Yeah.
that never was my thing. To me, that's almost like burying yourself and um in busyness, so you don't have to deal with whatever's going on out there. And I how do I describe myself sometimes as a social introvert,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense, because
Yes.
I'm a social person, but boy, I can pull way back and not have people around for a long time. And I'm picky with who my friends are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't, some you just click like that, and some, yeah, it takes a little bit more. But
Yeah.
now when I wrote my book, my purpose, well, it wasn't about making money. My life isn't about making money. My life is about helping people. And I was
Yeah.
here in San Antonio as the MC for the Inner Beauty Conference. And Sherry Segovia was one of the speakers. And her husband was standing on this side, and her and I were talking. And he's standing like this.
Mm-hmm.
And we're, Dan is his name, and hers is Sherry. And I'm talking to Sherry. And I said, "You're an Indian, aren't you?" "Yes." And then we talked some more. And "A chief?" "Yes." "Now, how did I know that?" And then we got to talking about me going to write my story. And it was, because to me, my motivation was twofold in a way: to get what I had to say out there. And I never had children. And when my family and friends are gone, nobody knows I ever lived, but now they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was my reason. If I make money on it, great. And if I don't, I've given more away than I've sold. And so it's because it's my spiritual stories. And anyhow, Dan says to me, "You need to write your book now, because by now we're talking about some of my experiences." And I swear I felt fingers over here on this side of my cheek and touched me that way. And I said, "You're right. I do. I've got to write it now, because people need to know that there is life after this life." And it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Can I share
Yeah.
one of my favorite stories in it?
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think, 8 years ago now. I have a far infrared sauna, and it's
Mm-hmm.
November here in San Antonio, and I'm so hot. And I told my husband I have to go outside and cool off. So I sit down on the porch in the swing, and the porch is raised. And so, it's like 3 foot down. No sooner did I sit down than there's my grandma, my dad, and my nephew like this at me. I go, you know, and for me, and I opened my eyes and they were gone. But Oma looked just like she did at 72, my dad at 71, and my nephew at 24. Just, oh, that was just great. And the next week I went back. I had said it was for me to tell mom. And so that I feel blessed that I'm open to those things, so that I can be the conduit for that message to be transferred. So the following week I went back to Iowa, and I said, Mom, she's had dementia. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. She'd go. And I said, "Next time you see him, go, because they're
Mm-hmm.
waiting for you. We'll be all right. Don't worry about us." And 4 months later, she passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote her obituary in 15 minutes. And I included that in my book too. But
Oh.
anyway, I just, motivation on that, just like the anthologies. I've got 2 of them going now. One with Daniela and um, Emilio, and the other with Dr. Maureen. And I'm just finishing that one. And I'm not doing it for the money,
Mm-hmm.
and not for the famousness of it or anything like that. If it comes, it comes. You know, I'm doing
Yeah.
it because I like it. I love to write. English
Mm-hmm.
is my favorite topic too. Look at this. I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and I'm doing all the talking.
No, but this is great though, just because these are the kind, you're the kind of person I love working with, very motivated to help people, mission driven. And so what I do is I just make it that technology, it doesn't get in the way. That's it.
I like
That's
that.
it,
Yeah.
that's just what it is. I think that, you know, um I see people get so stressed out with just sending an email or with setting up a landing page or a simple form. And I said, okay, I don't want people to get stressed out about this thing because they got a message, they got a mission, they got to get to work. And so, that's what really motivates me to just really put myself out there and just like be a service. So,
Approx-
I love it. It's great.
Approximately how long does it take you to set up that kind of thing?
It really depends on what it is that I am doing. So, you know, it just varies so much just because there are some people who have been in business for a while. They have data all over the place. They have a big list. They got a spreadsheet here, they got a database there, they got information here. And then there's other folks who are just more like, I have nothing, get me started. So I think it's just so variable, and it depends on what we set up, depends on like what content they have. A lot of people, they just produce so many videos and so many like social media posts because that's what they're good at, but then repurposing that for other formats is something that I do very well. So, and short answer is it really varies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I might not need a whole package, just a portion.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, so I can definitely let everyone know where to find me.
Yes.
So my website is kimberlyinezmays.com. So Inez, well, my first name is Kimberly, and then my middle name is Inez, and my last name is Mays. So Kimberly Inez Mays, and in case you didn't pick up on it, my initials are KIM, so that's pretty cool too. So KimberlyInezMays.com is my website, and Kim@KimberlyInezMays is my direct email address. From there, you'll be able to find a link for my book, Perfectly Persuasive, and it's on sale now for pre-order. Comes out Labor Day weekend. Super excited about that.
Yeah.
Cannot wait because we're going to really do some big things with this book, and then I have more books within me to come, probably something for 2024. So it's been a blast chatting with you and just kind of to getting to know your mission, and then just being able to share with your audience what it is that I do. So I hope that I at least inspired a couple of people to feel good about like what you're doing. Even if you struggle a little bit, that's fine, we all do it. There's always an area, like I keep saying, my area is taxes. So if taxes come easy to you, then good for you. Now you now I know how you feel, and you know how I feel. But that shouldn't be something that gets in the way of you doing your mission and getting to work and just
Right.
sharing yourself. So that's all I got to say.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I certainly enjoyed you being on our show, my show today. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank the audience for joining us too. And let's see, I talked about my book, but I also have to show I am an affiliate for, oops, where'd it go? There. This silly thing. And there we go. It's aminos. And I like the product so much because it helps your body absorb the proteins. And then you have less muscle loss, less crepey skin as you get older. And I found it worked in 2 months on me. And I said, wow, I like this. So I've been on it since June of last year, and I love it. So anyway, that's Perfect Aminos, and that's their advertisement for them. So anyway, thank you, Kimberly, for being here and sharing your expertise. And thank everybody for tuning in to my Common Sense Living podcast today. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you learned more than I did, even, because I learned a lot. So please leave a kind review, share the episode with a friend, and be sure to subscribe. You can find me where podcasts are, on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Buzzsprout. And don't forget, I'll be here again next time with more insightful information for you. Toodaloo. Thank you for tuning in to my Common Sense Living podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm sure you learned something new. Please leave a kind review and share this episode with a friend. And be sure to subscribe yourself. You'll find me on iTunes, Spotify, and other platforms. And don't forget, we'll be here again next week with another insightful episode of Common Sense Living. I can hardly wait.